Motion to resume public session. Ms. Littlewood, Ms. Urbanowski, all in favor? The vote is unanimous. We're now back in public session. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, that brings us to our GC Pride Awards tonight.
I'll start again. Thank you. Good evening. It is my honor to introduce you, Mrs. Coffey, Board President, Board of Education, Superintendent Daly, to some very well-deserved award recipients from Neil Armstrong. We will be focusing on 2 teachers and 4 students tonight. The first person that I'd like to nominate, and these are in alphabetical order, is Mrs. Kimberly Bergholzer. Mrs. Bergholzer is a teacher at Neil Armstrong, and she is very active in many different things in our building. She's active on the building level equity team. She is active on the she is a co-runner of the Student Council, and she's also on our Spartan Way PBIS committee. Mrs. Bergholzer. The next teacher is Miss Cassidy Daly. Ms. Daly is our building reading teacher, and she has been such a leader this year as we have shifted a lot of our literacy focus, and we're so proud to see the growth that we have seen in our students this year. Ms. Daly. For our students, each 5th grade class at Neil Armstrong nominated one student that embodied the Spartan Way in every aspect of their day, inside of school and out. The first recipient, London Rose Leisure. The next young lady is Miss Joey Lee. The next recipient is not only nominated, but he is also one of our flag guardians, Jacob McMillan. And our last recipient was a new student at the end of the school year last year, and he has really come into his own as an Armstrong star and a future Spartan for the middle school, Eric Udria. If I could have the GC Pride recipients go over to the backdrop for photos.
Congratulations, everybody, and thank you for all the work you do for our schools. Families, you're also welcome to go take pictures. You don't have to stay sitting far away. All right, I'm going to keep moving us forward as we take amazing photographs to the side. Do we have any agenda changes?
We've had some additions to personnel.
Thank you. That moves us forward to board president's comments. So I wanted to welcome everybody here from Neil Armstrong, all of our families, our staff, and our students. We appreciate your time and everything you're sharing with us tonight. We also just passed our spring break, so hopefully times for families and staff to reset a little bit, enjoy some nice weather now that break's over. and seeing all the sports all over as you're driving in. There's kids and families in every part of our complex, which is wonderful to see. Also wanted to recognize the efforts of our scholars and our staff for New York State assessments and how that impacts your day, and just knowing that it's hard to sit there all day to take exams and tests and bring yourselves to sit still, and we appreciate that effort. Also, when you get to go outside for recess after, as some of you mentioned, is probably an important thing. And just take another moment to recognize how many different people work to make our schools function and work together. And throughout the year, there's different, days or weeks to recognize different groups of staff and people that work in all different realms of our facilities. Over break, we had some recognition, such as assistant principals recognition. There were some for school librarians, for paraprofessionals, and just making sure that we take a moment to appreciate all the people who work together, because every one of our roles makes it possible for our day to work. And then the last thing I just wanted to take a moment to point out, as it's something that's close to a lot of our students and our families, also something close to our SEPTO committee, is Autism Awareness Month. I thank everybody for being here, and we're going to move forward to points of interest. Do we have any? Mr. Moscato?
Thank you. I had the opportunity to meet with one of our Board of Regents members, Andrew Hale. He came to the Monroe County School Board Association Legislative Committee meeting. He shared some information, one of which was about the graduation changes. He said they're working on it, but it's going to take a time. They have other issues I think they consider more important, one of which was mayoral control in New York City. He also talked about graduation rates. He's not a proponent of that being a strong measure of how well students are prepared. He would like to do more for seeing how well the students are doing after they get out of school. So that it's interesting because graduation rates are published. Everybody looks at them. If they're bad, people make comments about it. If they're good, nobody says, well, what do you expect? But he didn't think that they should be that high a measure more than anything else. Excuse me. He also talked about a program called My Brother's Keepers. Apparently this program is one that's well used in New York City, and he would like to see it expanded around the state. So those are just a few of the highlights of things that he's talked about. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other points of interest? Ms. Kais?
So last week, Mrs. Davis, Mrs. Jennings, Dr. Richards, and myself were able to attend the National School Board Conference in New Orleans. And I think that we plans on maybe the next board meeting getting into specifics on some of the conferences we attended or the sessions we attended and what we took away from it. But it was definitely a lot of fun, a lot of great learning, great ideas, energizing for a lot of us.
Thank you. Any other points of interest?
So what we were talking about for our school, we really wanted to bring up for the high school and most definitely for the senior class that we're very excited for prime time coming up and how it's been a 30-year tradition for Gates Chi-Lite in general, but we really want to give it more recognition because we're one of the only schools that do anything remotely close to a prime time. And I just wanted to bring that up because of how great it is to have and how rewarding it is to be a senior and get that option.
Thank you. Any additional points of interest? Ms. Serbanowski?
This was before break, but we haven't been here. I went to the middle school art show, and we just have some really, really talented kids, and it was awesome to see all the work that they've done this year. And last week, I went to the BOCE's annual meeting, and our CTE students who are in the baking, culinary, and criminal justice programs got to show off their skills a little bit, and that was really, really awesome. And they're just so proud of themselves, and we should also be proud of them. So it was cool to see.
Thank you. Any other points? All right, that moves us forward to reports of meetings. Do we have any meetings that took place? Okay. Do we have any visitor comments? All right. Now we are at our reports section. So we have our DECA International Career Development Conference report.
Okay. Thank you, Board President Coffey, Superintendent Daly, and the rest of the board, and everybody else here. Stay. DECA is, it's a goofy name. It stands for Distributive Education Clubs of America. It's been around for a long time. We've been running this here for 25 years. And we're very, very excited that for the first time in the 25 years, we've been very successful at the regional level, at the state level. But we've never had anybody get beyond the state level. So this is the first year, and I know you're very excited. We have Ben Coffey, and we have Josh List that have made it on to the what they call the International Conference, or ICDC. So I just wanted to show a little bit about what that is. Oh, I have it here.
That's greatly appreciated because
all right.
Ben is not good at describing it.
Okay. So it's going to be held this year in Anaheim, California. It bounces around from to different cities each year. Usually Orlando and Anaheim are in the mix between every 4 or 5 years. Yeah, April 27th through May 1st. It's a 5-day conference, and we're very fortunate that we've had a lot of help to get these two awesome young men to California for this. Whoops. Okay, so again, it's the ICDC is what it's called. There are 22,000 students from around the country that are going to be there. It's at a big arena, and you'll see here in a minute, you'll see what it looks like when they have their big award ceremony at the end of the whole conference. So teachers, advisors, students, professionals, basically in a nutshell, the students will take a test and they will have some role plays. And the winners of the higher scores in the role plays, along with the score of the test, move on to perhaps another role play. And then the last night on Tuesday night is the big, they call it the grand award ceremony. And it's a pretty awesome place to be at and a pretty awesome event. Josh and Ben are both 9th grade students. Again, very impressive for a 9th grader to make it to the ICDC level. They'll be competing in business law, team decision making. I forgot to put the word team in there. And against people from the other 50 states and outside the United States too. That's why it's international. Again, first time we've had people there. We're very excited. Chris and I will both be chaperoning. This is Chris Varlin. He's the co-advisor for the last few years. I'm going to show you a little video here, and it should just play when I press it, right? Oh, go back. Oh, you have it. Okay.
Well,
We have the thumb drive if you want it. Okay. Any questions about the conference? We've never been to the yeah, so we're very excited too as well as the students.
it'll be a great time, and that's okay. It's that.
Could you maybe share with us the steps that led up to this?
Yeah. So we started with our first meeting was in October. We met. We tried to meet every week. Sometimes it was every other week on a Wednesday after school. And the students chose their event. We had about 18 students in the club. The students, they chose their event. We would come in and practice. Marissa Hura, who's again a senior, was our club president, did a great job of really running the meetings. And we would be there to supervise, but they would practice. They would do role plays in class. She would give us cahoots and quizzes and different things to get the kids prepared for the regional level. We went to RIT, and again, all of the schools around the area that have DECA clubs compete. And the winners there went on to the States, which have been in Rochester for the 25 years that we've been doing this, which is great. And then they have you stay in the hotels and surrounding hotels, shuttle kids in to the convention center. They take the test, they do their 2 role plays. We have a big award ceremony there, and the winners there go to, and this year it's Anaheim. So just a great job all around by the kids this year. It was awesome.
And the big thing was that both the kids took it upon themselves to take all the material from business law class and from whatever and just accumulated it and kept it in his pocket. I know a couple, and kept looking at stuff, vocabulary terms and all that, and then the role plays came, and they were able to really do a good job on them and have the, have the court talk back and forth and really give some good ideas. So that was amazing, the independent learning that went on too.
All right, so we'll finish with a little video.
Oh, there it goes.
The jacket's in the car. I have the jackets.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Wonder why I can't make it bigger.
Because it's still in PowerPoint. You gotta blow up the PowerPoint.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So as you can see, it's a chance for them to meet new friends, network as they get older. It's very similar to a sport in a sense where there's businesses there that are willing to, hey, go do your 4 years at this school and we'll hire you. You've done a great job at whatever event they're competing in. So it's great for networking, great to meet people, and we're excited to go. Any other questions?
And they'll be voting on that later.
And the vote for that will be
Will be in action items.
an action item later on tonight. Thank
Okay.
you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well done.
All right.
All right. That moves us forward to our capital project update.
Good evening, President Coffey, board members, Superintendent Daly. Good to be back. Give you guys an update on where we are with the capital improvement project. It's the similar agenda, so we'll skip right through that. So in the last month, the work that's been completed, our general trades contractor continued demolition in the new district office space that is nearing completion. They wrapped up abatement, which I had spoke about last time, in the north section of the new district office space. The walls needed to have some abatement done, along with some flooring. And then in the new fax space, the new foundation footers and wall has been dug for the addition. The forms are being set now, and the plan is to pour that this week. Plumbing-wise, demolition is complete, and then they've laid out for floor cuts for new plumbing lines inside the district office space for bathrooms and the like. Mechanical, similar situation. They've completed their demolition work, and they're starting to lay out where the new mechanical runs are going. And then electrical work, same thing. Demolition is complete, and they've started their lighting rough-in. So that's where you'll see something like in here, the exposed conduits are being installed in the ceilings with boxes for where they'll eventually pull their wires from. So project schedule, in the Old West Side Academy space, the district office, we're going to be finishing the demolition. That'll be done this week. Under slab plumbing work, as I mentioned, the plumbers laid that out. That has been cut, and they're going to be starting tomorrow with digging. And then wall framing, there's a coordination meeting tomorrow morning between all the trades. Walls have been laid out in half the space, and the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing contractors will meet with the wall framers to make sure everything lays out properly and there's no busts in the design. The hub space new fax, they're going to continue the interior demolition. They're slightly ahead of schedule in this space with the interior demolition. As I mentioned before, they're going to pour and then backfill the foundations for the addition. And then they're going to start their interior framing as well. And then once they have the foundations poured, they're going to start the wall structure for the addition in the next month. The overall budget has not changed. The $45.5 million referendum that was voted in February of '22 has not changed. What has changed We have updated numbers from our state contracts for day automation included in this 21,549,000 number. That shifted a couple dollars to phase 2, available for award, just under 12.5 million, which I'll get to later in the presentation. And the contingency has not changed since the last meeting, and same with the allowances. Breaking down the contingency, since our last meeting, the pending changes has gone up. That is due to we're exposing areas that are either underground or were buried behind concrete before. This is expected that we're going to run into unknown conditions, such as hitting conduits that we did not know were there, or finding additional asbestos abatement, things like that. That's why we carry contingency, and we're in the situation that we're in. And then we've approved one change order of $7,313, and we have a $2.16 million balance remaining. And again, that is for both phases of the capital project. We have not touched the allowances to date. A couple of photos. For reference, we've included on the left-hand roughly where this photo was taken, so you guys get a better idea. In the district office space, last meeting, there were a few walls up in this area, but this is fully exposed now. And even since this photo, the flooring that's on the right-hand side is completely gone. It's a concrete slab. Similar photo facing the other direction. Again, wide open space right now. If you were to walk through it now, there's a lot of orange paint marks for where all the new walls are going. This is a photo of the north side post-abatement. There was wall tile on this block that had to be removed mechanically. So essentially the contractor ground the entire 3.5 feet of block off the wall. This was the old multiple toilet area. The outside wall of what used to be men's toilet is down in the left-hand photo, and then the area completely removed in the right-hand photo. And then finally, in the northern section, one of the hallway walls, this used to be a locker system and a glass wall frame above it. Space is nice and exposed now. And then this is a picture I was talking about before with cutting into the slab for new plumbing runs. This is what that looks like. And as you can sort of see, it looks like there's a conduit in this space that we hit with the saw. So that had to be repaired as part of the contingency. Over in the new fax space, so in the northern portion of the building, this used to be where the round wall was with the couple of accordion walls. That is now fully exposed. And then this is the hardwood floor room near that space. There used to be a wall dividing the two. I believe it was the old wrestling gym. It actually says Spartans Wrestling on the wall that was covered with the interior wall. And then this is a photo of what the foundation dig looks like. I took this photo right after a lot of the rain we had. So they've had a slight delay with pouring this foundation because of all the rain we've had, but since then, the bottom where that wood structure has been pulled out with the excavator, and new stone has been placed to make sure rain we're going to see over the next 2 days does not ruin the pour for Friday. Phase 2, not much to give you any information on. It's still at the state. We knew it was going to be a long process, but SEI and campus are continuing to evaluate the drawings and put our conceptual estimate to the values. Kurt, anything to add to that?
I did great.
Okay. Any questions?
I noticed that you had some like financial sheets in the slide show. They're kind of hard to see there. Is it possible for future we could have a printout of those, the ones that are off to the side there?
Yeah.
For me,
Yes.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Any other questions? Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
All right. Neil Armstrong, you guys are up. I know some of you said you were nervous earlier, but you got this.
Oh, I am much shorter. Again, Mrs. Coffey, Board President, Board of Education, Superintendent Daly. I'm Rebecca Scott. Most of you know me. I am principal at Neil Armstrong Elementary, and I am delighted to reintroduce. I am sure that most of you know Mrs. Carol Stem. She will be working at Armstrong the remainder of the year as assistant principal. Carol and I are going to present to you tonight some updates about Neil Armstrong and some highlights from this school year. And we have some students and staff to help us with our presentation. So welcome. The theme of our evening is that we are always growing at Armstrong. And we really ground this growing in the Spartan way: respect, responsibility, compassion, and hard work. Everything that we do is connected to that in some way, shape, or form. Board of Education, Cabinet, Superintendent Daly, there is a half sheet that you have that actually connects some of our action steps at Neil Armstrong to the district-based goals for this year, so that we're very intentional and grounded in the work that we're doing as a district and connecting it to the building. I'd first like to bring up Miss Cassidy Daly, our building reading teacher, because we have had quite a bit of success and growth in our literacy this school year. Come on, Cass. This year, we've continued to implement the research-based Tier 1 literacy instruction strategies. In addition, we've utilized the Acadience Universal Screener to assist with monitoring student growth and identifying areas of student need. Our data shows significant skill growth, specifically in our primary grades, kindergarten, first, and second. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Daly as the expert in our literacy work at Armstrong.
Good evening to the board, President Coffey, and Superintendent Daly. And I'd also like to take a minute just to congratulate our GC Pride winners this evening. I am very proud of all of them, and they are familiar faces to me, so I wanted to acknowledge them. And as Mrs. Scott has shared, not only have we used the Acadian Screener data to identify specific student strengths and needs, we've worked to fine-tune our instruction to ensure that it is explicit and targeted for each student. One of the specific pieces that has attributed to our growth this year has been the utilization of the UFLY, which stands for University of Florida Literacy Institute, and is a foundational phonics resource to target early literacy skills in the primary grades. It provides direct and systematic phonics instruction that is research and evidence-based. Our teachers have implemented these shifts in Tier 1 instruction with fidelity, and we've been happy to see growth in this area. We have also used intervention staff primarily as a push-in service provider alongside a block ELA schedule to support and strengthen our instructional delivery. We are happy to share we've received positive data and feedback from this model as well. Some other highlights from our year at Armstrong include One School, One Book. This is an ongoing year-long adventure. This year we spotlighted the book Just Help by Sonia Sotomayor. We are in the process of deciding on a book for next year, and Mrs. Scott will talk more about the One School, One Book later in the presentation. We also have featured the Scott Spino readers again this year. Each kindergarten class has received a reader each month to share a book, and each student takes home a copy of the book to then share with their family. This is courtesy of the Scott Spino Foundation. Armstrong has also offered Space Camp, which is Title I tutoring this year. That started in January 2024 to present. We offered this to students in grades 3 through 4 to provide extra support in both ELA and math after school. It is still currently ongoing. It ends actually this week, and we are excited to say the kids have really enjoyed it. We've taken on a Space Camp theme to the work that they have done, and it has really provided some extra practice and support for them. In February, we celebrated World Read Aloud Day. Classrooms engaged in interactive read-alouds online with famous authors, and we've also had guest readers come to read stories to them on this day. We enjoyed Storybook Character Day in March 2024. Staff and students dressed as storybook characters as part of a PBIS school-wide celebration. And then I'm also offering a book club this month through May, and it's featuring the book Pay It Forward by Catherine Ryan Hyde. And that's focusing on performing random acts of kindness and ties very well with our Just Help theme that we've had this year school-wide. As part of our time in book club, we plan to pay it forward to a local Blue Star Mothers chapter by making shower favors for a baby shower for wives of active service members. So that's our most current item that we're enjoying at Armstrong in our literacy world. So thank you for letting me share.
Shifting forward to focusing on growing by being inclusive. At Armstrong, we have a very active building level equity team. It's quite a large team. Actually, several people in the audience are members. Our fifth grade teachers have come to support their students, and they are all active members of our equity team. So I wanted to give them a shout out. One of the highlights of our work this year, and you have this in front of you, is this stemmed from people on the equity team saying, I just want to make sure that people are thinking of all kids when they plan activities, when they plan lessons, when they think about how they're going to address different things coming up in the school year. And we had a lot of conversation about it. We had a few different drafts and things like that. And we came up with a pretty complete reflection tool on looking at all of the different things we need to think about when we are trying to be equitable and inclusive in our work. This was shared with the district level equity team and the folks that run the CRSE, which is ongoing training for staff, being culturally responsive and sustaining education, and has actually been judged by our lovely director of communications so that it is a finished product that I'm so proud to say was thought about in our meetings at Armstrong when we're trying to be inclusive and equitable to all of our students and our staff. I'm going to have Mrs. Stem talk about some of the things she's experienced since being at Armstrong in February when I was out, and a few more highlights from our equity team.
Thank you. It's an honor to be back and standing up here again. So the equity team has done quite a bit of work at Neil Armstrong, and at the last faculty meeting in February, some of our equity team members did a presentation focusing on unconscious bias and really helping teachers begin to think about their biases. We had different activities that they engaged themselves in so that they could really think about their personal, maybe unconscious biases or even maybe conscious biases, and talk about how they are changing some of the things that they're doing in their classroom to help move our work forward. We also, the equity team, had high school students come over to talk to our students, thanks to Stacy Killings, who is a psychologist at the high school. And thanks to Krissa back here, Krissa Bingers, one of our fifth grade teachers, who helped to organize all of this. Teachers were very impressed with the conversations. High school students went into the classrooms, had conversations with the fifth grade students. The students were very, very engaged. They really enjoyed the high school students being in there and talking with them. They had lots of questions to ask the high school students, and the high school students have already said to us they want to come back. So we'll have to work on that before the end of the year and have them back to visit again. So, moving forward, whoops, I moved backwards, didn't I? Because I haven't used this in a while. Okay. So another way that we're continuing to grow is through social emotional learning, SEL, and restorative practices. At Neil Armstrong, every classroom participates in community circles. And for those community circles, there are 2 adults that are in the classroom with the students. And during circle time, they get an opportunity to really build relationships with each other, to build that sense of culture and community within their classroom. They might be talking about their weekend one day. Another day, they might be dealing and answering questions around emotions and conflict. So the kids working in these community circles on a daily basis are really getting that opportunity to talk and listen to each other and be able to share with each other. So when things kind of escalate and we need to have some restorative conversations, the students are very good at having those restorative conversations, talking about, this made me feel like this is how I feel. I did a restorative conversation with 2 boys the other day, and like before the conversation even started, they were apologizing to each other. I'm sorry, I was unkind. And the boy got up and hugged the other boy. I was like, well, this is a pretty easy conversation. But we had a nice conversation about kindness. And so that work that they're doing in their community circles really are helping kids to talk about emotions, talk about conflict, and then follow that back up with how to be kind and how we want to treat each other. In addition to those community circles, our counselors go in and do weekly lessons in our classroom. So our school counselors have curriculum that are aligned to the national counseling standards, as well as following the New York State SEL benchmarks. And so there are weekly lessons that they go into classrooms to do. And in addition, sometimes when there's classrooms that are struggling a little bit, they'll go in and do some extra lessons to really help students work on maybe some struggles that they're having within the classroom. So there's a lot going on around SEL and a lot of growth that's happening.
All right. And as was mentioned by Ms. Daly, we selected a one book to focus on with our entire school. The selection process for this involved our teachers who had input. We previewed several different options. We talked about a few different choices, and we absolutely loved Sonia Sotomayor's Just Help. The theme is simple. We can all help each other out. And the beauty of this particular book, yes, it's a picture book, but the message in it could be taught K-12. We have embedded different activities throughout the school year, and all of our themes have gone back to how is that being helpful? How are you helping out your school community? How are you helping out your home community, your classroom community, and the wider community at large? It was interesting that we had one particular teacher on our equity team reach out to Ms. Sotomayor. And we did get an email response back, but that was about it. We were kind of hoping we could set up a FaceTime with the school, but we're waiting on that, but we're persistent, so stay tuned. At this point, I wanted to take a moment to break apart the chunks of our year-long focus with Just Help. First, I would like Joey to come up. Joey is going to help present about the very beginning of the school year when we highlighted helping at home, where students were posed with a question in their community circle time about how they can be helpers at home and how it can make a difference. So Joey, can you talk to us a little bit about some of the things you did when you were helping at home?
When I was helping at home, I was washing the dishes, folding the laundry, and sometimes mopping the floor.
Joey, I know your family is here. How did they feel about you helping at home?
They felt happy because I was normally doing the work they normally did.
Okay. And one question that you don't know is coming. Have you continued to help at home?
Yeah.
Thank you, Joey. For this, Mrs. Stem is going to talk with Jake McMillan, another one of our fifth graders.
So if you recall, Jake talked a little bit about jobs, right, when we saw you earlier, and we didn't want to give it away then, but Jake, can you tell us what are the jobs that you're talking about for fifth grade, and how do you go about getting a job?
Well, fifth grade applies for jobs, which are the school store, the lunchroom, and kindergarten and we help kindergarten classes with dismissal.
Okay. And you have a few jobs, don't you? So can you talk a little bit about your jobs and what you do?
I'm in charge of putting up the flag and taking it down each day. I say the pledge announcements in the morning. I also help in my mom's kindergarten class with getting students for dismissal and getting to their buses.
And I tell you, our fifth graders do an outstanding job. And so you guys, especially Jake, he's on time, first thing in the office, ready to go, he and his partner. And who's your partner doing announcements?
Sky Vaughn.
So the two of them are always there, on time, very well spoken, and ready to start our day, right?
Yep.
Nice job. Thank you.
One other piece I would like to highlight about those fifth grade jobs is the fifth grade team has them fill out actual applications and do interviews for their jobs. They have to earn the ability to keep their job, and they can sometimes have to take a break from their job if they need to focus more on their schoolwork, because obviously that's the priority. All right, Miss London. I am going to interview London a little bit about ways that we have helped in the community at Neil Armstrong, and there are a lot of different ways. London, what are some of the things that we have done over the course of the year that have reached out to the community and been helpful?
A way that Armstrong is helping in the community are shoe drives for those in need. Food drives is the GC Food Pantry. Blessing bags for Open Door Mission. Blessing bags were set up by the whole fifth grade. We added things that are essentials like toothpaste that all people need. We all put some love into our bags.
And London, as you were helping doing the things with the blessing bags or other activities for the community, how does it make you feel, and how does it make you want to continue to be a Spartan?
It makes me feel good knowing that I help people, those who need, and it makes me want to continue because I want to make more and more people happy.
London, thank you. You do make people happy and you make a difference. Our last highlight is going to be growing through our student leadership. And at this point, I would like to invite Mrs. Bergholzer, who is a co-advisor for Student Council, and Eric Udria, who is one of our fifth graders that is on Student Council.
Hello, so I co-advise student council with Stacy Sidoti. We had each of the fifth grade classes campaign to be in student council, and then their class had to vote for who they wanted to represent them. And our main goal with student council is giving students a voice in our school, as well as finding ways to help our Gates Chatlight community. So Eric, what are some of the things that we've done in student council?
We did 2 coffee carts to give to staff coffee in the morning. We collect food for the Gates Chatlight Food Pantry. We made posters to advertise the Spartan way value of hard work. And Students Council also presented at the Compassion Assembly for the whole school.
Good. And how does it make you feel to do all that stuff with student council?
It makes me feel happy and joy.
Thank you. And Eric was very quick to talk about the 2 coffee carts, but let me tell you, our staff very much enjoyed the coffee carts, and Mrs. Sidoti and Mrs. Bergholzer actually put out a form the last time so staff could make sure they had their orders correct as student council helped deliver coffee to their teachers. So in closing, we want to look ahead. I know that everyone has been updated that Armstrong will be a pilot community school for next year. We actually just had our community school site coordinator begin at Armstrong. This past Friday was her very first day. Cassie Kappen is a Gates Chili resident and parent. She has students that attend Paul Road School. We are in the early stages of putting together a FACE team, a family and community engagement team. We're looking at our Armstrong data to identify what are the things that we need to be more successful. If you've seen one community school, you've seen one community school. They're really focused on the specific needs of individual buildings. So I'm very happy and pleased that we are able to have Cassie, who's hired through the Center for Youth, join us to get to know our school community, our families. She'll be attending the volleyball game this week. She'll be attending a family fun night next week through our PTO, and we're completely embracing her. And I really look forward to updating you next year on how the community school pilot model is going. Thank you.
Thank you all. We appreciate everything you shared. We also want your families to know that you are welcome to stay, but also you do not have to stay because it's a school night. So it's totally up to you guys, but we appreciate you. All right, that moves us forward to finance, facilities, and audit update.
Hello. Good evening, President Coffey, Superintendent Daly, Board of Education. Thank you for having me. I have an update on the Finance Facility and Audit Committee. The last meeting was on March 18th. We discussed the independent audit and talked a little bit about the work that EFPR Group would be doing. We discussed the internal audit, noting that the committee selected IT as the internal audit focus for this year's cycle. We talked about the ARP ESER survey, and so the state is coming in to audit our pandemic relief fund grants, which is a typical thing in the state. We were in the 4th round of those audits, so they'll be, we have started that work and are working closely with them along with Mr. Olin and Ms. Sanford, District Treasurer. We discussed a preliminary budget proposal and had some conversation as a committee around the budget proposal. We talked a little bit about legislative priorities going into the 24-25 state budget cycle, and then we talked about the Budget Ambassador Program and the very positive feedback we received from the Budget Ambassador Group as discussed at the last board meeting. We discussed My School Bucks and talked about some of the fees and online payment history. We talked about capital reserves, the Security Infrastructure Reserve, noting that we would be looking to move some funds from one capital reserve to the Reserve for Security Infrastructure based on some pending plans for work in the district, and the committee agreed that that was a good plan. We talked about the capital project, the current $45.5 million capital project, as was shared with you tonight by Campus Construction and SEI Design Group. We also talked about some things that may be happening with the current administration building, noting some of the roadblocks that the New York State Education Department has put in place in terms of funding that work that we had initially planned. We talked about the potential future project to vote in February of 2025, and some of the items that may be included in that project and next steps in terms of stakeholder feedback. We talked about the capital outlay project and how we could maximize funding if we were to have a capital outlay project, indicating that that would be something that would need to be shared as part of the budget process. We will be putting something together that will go out in the future budget newsletter. Any questions about the Finance Facility and Audit Committee meeting? All right, thank you.
Thank you. That moves us forward now to our budget update.
Okay, thank you again. Real quick budget update. Tonight is the evening where we look for the board to adopt the budget to put out for referendum to the public in May. That will be on the agenda for tonight. With that in mind, I just want to talk a little bit about what's up there on the agenda, and we'll move through that pretty quickly. And if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to ask. So right now, we're at that point where we anticipate budget adoption so that we can meet all of our legal deadlines and meet our ability to get all of those budget documents, the newsletter, the presentation, and video series prepared. All of that work has to happen in the next couple of weeks so we can be sure that we meet all of those legal deadlines. From there, we'll have a budget hearing on May 7th. Meet the candidates night is on May 9th. And then that budget vote and election at the field house from 6:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. on May 21st. Expenditure budget proposal. Again, we look to build a budget that's zero-based, modified zero-based. We try and build budgets from the bottom up. That means that there's an incredible amount of work that staff and administration has to do in order to build budgets. And so, again, a huge thank you to everyone here in the district for all the work that they've done in order to get us to a place where we have a budget proposal. We're looking for a 3.7% increase in the budget, noting that, for instance, last year CPI was 4.12. So again, we feel that this is very reasonable given the significant increase in labor costs, material and supply costs, equipment costs as we go into next year. I know that we've discussed this, but energy costs particularly have been skyrocketing. And so again, feel that this is a very reasonable budget proposal as we look to 24-25. So we've been over that in great detail. We did the three-part budget at the last meeting. We're still in the same place we were at the last meeting. Now I want to discuss the revenue plan. Again, we were in this situation last year. We don't have a budget as we sit here today. We did hear from a number of our professional associations that the governor has announced this publicly, that there is a plan in place, but the governor and the legislature have not released actual budget bills. And so we don't know what our numbers will be until those budget bills come out. Once those budget bills are released, then we'll get a state aid run from the New York State Education Department, and we use that in order to build our budgets. One thing we are hearing is that in the past, foundation aid, which is our primary source of aid as a district, that's a formula-driven aid that looks at things like enrollment and specific demographics to our district, like our free and reduced lunch percentage and our combined wealth ratio, all the things that make our district who we are compared to the rest of the district. We are hearing that one of those factors that they use, which is CPI, it was set at that 4.1%, which is last year's number. They may be reducing it down to 2.8. They're going to retain the save, from the sounds of it, they're going to retain the save harmless for districts across the state, and maybe drop that CPI number down to 2.8. This is what we're hearing, although we don't have a budget bill. If they do that, we may see a reduction on what we had assumed we would be getting. Obviously, we don't want to see that happening, but if it does happen, we will be prepared to leverage our fund balance, appropriated fund balance, which is money from this year that we would appropriate into next year, and also our reserves to balance any budgetary gap that we may have. That would be our plan. Pending any significant reduction that we're not anticipating, again, that would be the plan with the budget. If there was a significant reduction that we were not anticipating, like far in excess of what we would anticipate, then we would have to have some conversations down the road about how we manage those changes in revenue. Any questions about that? Okay. Budget propositions and board election. We'll have 3 propositions on the ballot: the expenditure budget, the bus purchase proposition, which the board has approved, and then the energy performance contract language as well. Those would be the 3 things on the ballot, aside from the budget vote or the board elections themselves. There's what we've shared before. Nothing has changed. Petitions are available and due to the district clerk by Monday, this coming Monday at 5 p.m. Oh, that's it. Any questions?
It doesn't look like it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a great evening.
You as well. All right, that moves us on to consensus items. Can I have a motion to approve the consensus agenda? Have a motion? Thank you. I've got Michelle and I've got Katie. Any questions, concerns? No? All right, all in favor? The vote is unanimous. Thank you. All right, can I then have a motion to approve consensus items C through N? Have a motion? Okay, Ms. Littlewood, Ms. Kais. Sorry, guys, I switched the name thing up for a second. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous.
Make them wait a little longer.
We're awkwardly talking about you guys.
Wait for my report. Go ahead.
I don't want to wait here. All right. He's making me make you wait longer.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right, action items. Can I have a motion to approve the trip for the Gates-Chile High School students attending the ICDC DECA conference in Anaheim, California from April 27th through May 1st, 2024? Can I have a motion? Okay, Ms. Davis, Ms. Jennings, any questions or discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. It still feels awkward, guys. Sorry. Can I have a They might, but I. All right, motion to approve the 2024-2025 Board of Education proposed budget. Can I have a motion? Ms. Davis, Ms. Jennings, thanks, guys. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. All right, can I have a motion to approve the 2024-2025 annual budget and propositions as follows? So read this whole thing, right?
Where? This one. It's below. You're fine.
Okay, do it.
Nope, you're good. You don't have to read that.
Okay,
I have a motion.
can I have a motion? Ms. Littlewood? Ms. Kais? Any questions? All right, all in favor? Vote is unanimous. All right. Can I have a motion to approve the Monroe to Orleans BOCES administrative budget of $8,833,813 for the 2024-2025 fiscal year? Can I have a motion? Oh, Mr. Long? Can I have a second? Mr. Banowski? Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Vote is unanimous. Can I have a motion to vote on Monroe to Orleans BOCES board candidates? Can I have a motion? Mr. Banowski, Ms. Kais, any questions or discussion? All in favor? Are you voting or not voting? Sorry, just making sure. I was reading. I didn't want to assume for you. All right, the vote is unanimous. All right, that moves us forward to approval of board vote on superintendent's hearing appeal. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, having heard an appeal from student A, discipline determination made by the superintendent of schools, designated it as appeal number 1, and following due deliberation, hereby uphold the determination of the superintendent of schools. Can I have a motion? Ms. Davis, can I have a second? Mr. Long, any questions or discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. I mean, hopefully he'll talk about you guys first. Maybe not. Superintendent's comments?
We have a few important updates to share related to our school calendar. Since we didn't have any snow days or emergency closures, the Thursday before Memorial Day, May 23rd, will be a day off for students and 10-month staff. Additionally, the last days of school for students this year will be as follows. The high school's last day for students will be Thursday, June 13th, followed by exams through June 25th. And for students at the middle and elementary levels, the last day of class will be Friday, June 21st as a full day. That will be our last day of attendance for elementary and middle school students. Yesterday, we learned that for the second year in a row, Gates-Chiley Central School District has been named as one of the best communities for music education. The district earned the designation for its outstanding commitment to music education and efforts to provide music access and education to all our students. Thank you to all our amazing music educators and our students. We have some great news to share related to students in our junior achievement classes. First, senior Tyler Jackson was selected by Junior Achievement for the Bank of America Student Leaders Program this summer in Washington, D.C. It's an 8-week paid internship where she will gain practical work and life experience. Congratulations. Also, congratulations to senior Addison Davis, who after an extensive interview process was chosen for the Junior Achievement Scholarship at Syracuse University. This scholarship includes a full ride, all thanks to her remarkable involvement in the JA program, strong interview skills, and impressive academic achievements. We've also had a lot of Scholar Athlete Team and Individual Awards for the winter season. 5 Gates-Chiley athletic teams and 55 individual students have earned Scholar Athlete Award for the winter 2024 season. To qualify as a team, 75% of our team's average GPA for the season must be equal to or greater than 90%. And athletes that earn individual Scholar Athlete recognition by earning an individual average of 90 or above for the winter season, whether the team qualified or not. Congratulations to our boys bowling, girls basketball, boys indoor track and field, girls indoor track and field, ice hockey, and the many individual honorees. I know all of you will not sleep for the next 2 nights getting ready for the Ed Foundation Volleyball Tournament. If you're looking for something fun to do later this week, come out to the Spartan Fieldhouse on Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. for the Battle of the Elementary Faculty Staff. They'll be serving up some Spirit of a Chance at the GCEF Cup. The fundraiser will benefit the foundation and our food pantry. Individuals can donate a can of food and $1 or pay $5 to enter to witness one of the most challenging and fierce competitions in the history of volleyball on Thursday nights. Also, a reminder that Friday night, the class of 2025 will be hosting the annual Sweethearts Dance at the high school from 6 to 8 p.m. It's a wonderful night out for elementary students and their families to create special memories. But last but not least, the Board Ed candidates there's packets still for anyone interested in running for the Gates-Chiley School Board, and they're available at the GC Administration Building. Packets are due back to our district clerk, Mrs. Brown, by this Monday, April 22nd at 5 p.m. Oh, and there's one more thing. Tonight, the board approved several exciting changes to our leadership team. First, our new security supervisor, Mr. Sam Bell, will start on May 13th. And currently, Disney principal, Dr. Dan Zanowski, will be the new principal at Gates-Chiley Middle School. He'll start June 10th to overlap with Dr. Buckshaw through the end of the year. And current Brasser assistant principal, Mrs. Erin Eugene, will take over as principal at Walt Disney. She'll start on June 3rd and overlap with Dr. Z for the week. Long-term, this leaves our vacancies at Armstrong assistant principal and Brasser assistant principal. We'll be posting for those positions soon with the hopes of having new APs in place by July. In addition to these 2 assistant principal openings, we have many other positions to fill throughout the district. Over the past few years, the volume of recruitment and hiring is unlike anything we've ever seen. To help with this increased need, we've asked middle school assistant principal, Ms. Kenyella Rollins, to step up and help us with some recruitment and hiring for the remainder of the school year. Filling in for her when she's over at the admin building will be Mr. Mike Bromley, a retired administrator from Batavia, will be stepping in to help lead the Red Wings community while Ms. Rollins is helping out at district office. This time, we'd like to congratulate our 2 new principals that are here with us for your promotions. We expect a lot out of you, and we know you will deliver. Congratulations. Now is the photo op over at the thing, and that is my report. President Coffey.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations, you guys. We're very excited. While you're getting your photos taken, I will then ask us for a motion to adjourn. Ms. Littlewood, Ms. Keyes, any discussion? All in favor? Vote is unanimous. Thank you.